Thank you very much for tuning into That Will Never Work podcast. We have a really, really great show for you today. And here is where I need you to understand and think about today that most people, they spend their entire lives working hard towards success while running a subconscious program that was specifically designed to make sure that they would never actually get there. And the terrifying part of that is they have no idea why or how it's running. So our guest today, Randy Gage, rose from a jail cell as a teen to become one of the most admired entrepreneurs and thought leaders in the world. And what he discovered on that journey is the most single important and most constantly ignored truth in personal development. The biggest obstacle between where you are and where you are called to be is not your circumstances, it's not your resources, it may not even be your strategy, but it is the programming, i.e. that will never work. Let's talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
So let me tell you, my guest, he has written over 16 books. He has a place in the Hall of Fame as a speaker. I didn't even know that even existed. And I'm a speaker, right? and he is the founder of Prosperity Factory Incorporated. And I want you to understand that the idea is of this individual, this gentleman, that he's a disruptor. He's razor sharp. He's unapologetic. He's battle tested. He's a visionary, provocative, but ultimately he's transformational. And I want y'all to really listen to the key moments in this episode. Randy, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for coming on to the show.
Hey, Maurice. First of all, let me just say thank you for bringing me in. And thank you. My 16th book is that one behind me, Wealth Without Apology. I think I'm going to get the transcript of the introduction you just did. And I'm going to tell my team to cut and paste that and put that on Amazon as the description for the book. What is the book about? Because you really nailed it with that I really do believe, because we all have an operating system we run by, right? Whether you know it or you don't know it is irrelevant. We do. It's formed by all these factors over the course of our young, early development.
Right.
And then it just kind of runs in the background, unchanged, unless at some point in our life we come across some person, some book, some podcast that metaphorically slaps us upside the head and says, wait a minute, check the premise.
Right.
And that's what that book is about, is how many people are just sleepwalking through life without even knowing on this conscious level. They're saying, yeah, I'm going to have an IPO and be a billionaire. Yeah, I'm going to write the great American novel. Yeah, I'm going to create an opera. Yes, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and be wildly successful. I'm going to be a great parent. But they have this programming that they don't even know is there, causing them to self-sabotage.
And so with that, first of all, I want to say thank you. And if you need me to be your wingman when you go on stages, I'll do that. Like, I'll make it happen. But like I said, I did my research on you when we was in the green room. And so one of the things that I want to touch on, again, we're having a conversation. It's not a true interview. We're having a conversation. But if you listen to Randy's backstory, how he grew up, the environment he was in, as he says in some of his stories, that he knew he was poor. Now, here's the situation. Sometimes, Randy, when we have that in our background, sometimes we don't know how to elevate out of that mentality, especially when, as you stated, you have friends or people around you that was getting cars at a very young age, 16 birthdays, 14 years old, whatever it might be. So how do you get out of that program to say, hey, you know what? I might be in this situation, but it will not define me going through life.
Well, I got out of it the wrong way first, right? You already alluded to it. I was in jail for armed robbery at 15 years old. Because that was plan A. Plan A was, hey, all those rich SOBs have the money. I don't have the money. That's not fair. I'm going to take it from them.
Right.
And I'm going to do the Robin Hood thing, and I'm going to steal from the rich and give to myself.
Right.
So I kind of amended the Robin Hood thing a little bit. Right. So that worked great until it didn't. And then the second plan B was where I realized, no, I've got to work within the constraints of the system, but I don't have to do it the conventional way. I don't have to accept that poverty is my destiny, and that because I was born to a single mother with 3 kids, because I was born in an environment where I was expelled from high school and I didn't get a higher education and my family didn't have wealthy, powerful connections, that doesn't mean I have to stay there. There is a avenue out if I take charge of my own destiny.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I come from the city of Philadelphia, and my environment, there was a lot of us that were in that space. I have a lot of friends that gave into that idea that I will never get out of this neighborhood. I mean, I have some people that I grew up with that, in all honesty, now I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up around 52nd Street. Center City is only, let's say, 15th Street down, whatever, right? There's a lot of people that's never been to Center City in Philadelphia because they're only stuck in that one mindset. They can't get out of that 2 or 3 block radius, and so sometimes we feel like we're stuck and we're scared of something that is totally new to us. So how do we get out of that system necessarily? Because unfortunately, some of us are just scared of what the possibilities really are.
I was just in Philly a couple of months, not even 2 months ago. Dear friend, emergency brain surgery. So I rushed up to be in the operating room when she got out, in the recovery room after she got out. And Philly's still that way, right? There are parts of Philly that, man, it's riddled with poverty consciousness and lack and limitation. And there are parts of Philly you say, wow, what an amazing, vibrant, cosmopolitan, culturally rich city.
Right.
It is all in our mind, right? And it's all about recognizing that operating system. Because the operating system will tell you, yeah, that's the success, that's for other people. You weren't born for that.
Right.
You were born here, right? You don't have those connections. You don't have those degrees. You don't have that experience. You're not one of the chosen ones.
Right.
And you have to recognize that. And that means I actually have an earlier book before this one that really goes into the mind viruses and the programming we get in 6 main areas of our life, right? Money and success, health and wellness, marriage and relationships. And the thing people don't get is most of those core foundational beliefs you adopt before you're 8 years old. So you don't develop those beliefs. You inherit them. You inherit them from your parents, from your counselors, from your coaches, from your preachers, from your teachers. And depending on what that environment is, for most people, it's very limiting. And until and unless you come across that person, that book, that podcast that slaps you upside the head like we talked about, you say, wait a minute, let me question my core foundational beliefs. When did I get them? What are they? First of all, what are they?
Right.
Do I have a core foundational belief that money is evil and rich people are bad people?
Mm.
And most people, the answer to that would be yes. And that would be the first time they'd actually touch that and put their finger on it. Then say, when did I learn that? Oh my God, I did learn that before I was 8. And then the most important question is, does that belief serve me? Or would I be better to just discard that belief, take it off like a jacket that doesn't fit me very well,
right,
and replace it with a belief that fits me better? Would I replace it with a belief that, wow, money can be very empowering. Money provides choices. Money provides security. Money provides opportunity. If I was a wealthy person, I could do incredible things to develop my own potential, protect my loved ones, and provide better and greater security, and do more good for the world. So we take a limiting belief. First, we have to recognize the limiting belief. We have to blow it up into the nothingness from where it came. And then we have to replace it with an empowering belief.
So, excuse me, I listened to, like I said, I did my research, and I heard you on another podcast where you said, you gave the example of driving down the highway, somebody's Bugatti breaks down the side of the road, right? and so I listened to that, and if I'm riding around in my $40,000 Toyota that you referenced as well, you know, if I laughed at this person with this Bugatti, you know, on my end, I'm like, would I laugh? I said, you know what? I probably would, because I know that Toyota is going to last. The Bugattis, those more expensive cars, don't last that very long, you know. But the idea is, why would I laugh, right? Is it more practical? Is it because, hey, you're rich and I'm not, or, you know, you're flaunting, whatever it might be? So am I really worthy to even have that type of car? You know, is it such a pipe dream? Because sometimes we laugh because we don't see ourselves in that type of position, you know. And so I had to really reflect on that. So, but I would like to ask you, right, when you were in that space at one particular time, would you have laughed at that person in that Bugatti, or would you try to help or whatever?
100%. Yeah, that's why, I mean, it's not like I went up on a mountaintop and I came back with these tablets of genius and wealth that the old powerful creator gave me and said, go take these back to humanity. I made the mistakes. I learned the hard way, right? So because I just looked at my life, and I know in my earlier years, driving my old beat up Plymouth that used to, in Madison, Wisconsin, where winters are 40 below zero wind chill factors, I had a Plymouth that when you stopped too long at a red light, it would cut off. And it would never start again until I got out of my car, opened up the hood, turned the butterfly valve. Some of you all are going to have to Google what I'm talking about because you've never seen a car engine. Take off the lid to the air filter. There's the butterfly valve. I had to stick a pencil, a pen, or a tire pressure gauge to hold the carburetor valve open, then go start the car, then run out, pull out the pen, the whatever, put the thing, put it up. Meanwhile, there's 11 cars behind me blowing the horn. Who's this jerk? Why isn't he going? Right? So of course, when I drive along and I see somebody driving a busted down rust bucket like me, I have instant empathy for them. Oh my God, I see that poor guy with the hood up. Should I stop? Does he need help? Does he, need a tow truck? Is he out of gas? Can I give him a ride to the gas station? But if I would have seen somebody, they didn't have Bugattis back then, right? But if I would have seen a Ferrari or a Lambo or a Rolls Royce, God forbid, I would have like, oh, look at that guy with his fancy Rolls Royce, and he's broken down. And I got my old beat up, broke mobile, and I'm driving along fine. And I realized, wow, what is having that? Because what we're talking about is the visceral reaction.
Right.
And that visceral reaction tells us we think negatively of wealthy people. And as long as you think negatively of wealthy people, you will never become one.
So what was in that moment? I'm thinking about the old car idea. You got to spray stuff into that carburetor, whatever it might be. So my question to you is, what was that spray for you personally that helped you to get running, to get moving? That maybe that one experience to say, you know what, I need to change that idea of wealth to now is really more of a resource, not just, hey, I just laying around in money all day like Scrooge McDuck.
I kept trying. What I didn't know then was people will discover in the new book is that your income will never exceed your self-identity. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many new businesses, projects, ventures you do, no matter how many millions of dollars you inherit from your rich uncle who gives you $20 million, you win the lotto with $300 million, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You will find a way to self-sabotage anything to keep your wealth, your health, your happiness below the self-identity that you set for yourself. And for me, it really culminated when I was 30 years old. I had a restaurant that was seized by the IRS, and they auctioned it off for the tax debt that I owed. Left me $55,000 in debt, no credit cards, no credit, no house. I rented an apartment, no car, because I had a leased truck, which belonged to the business, and I lost that with the business. So I didn't even have a car. And $55,000 in debt. And this is back in the day, right? This would be like me owing $55 million today, right? And I ended up selling all my furniture, sleeping on the floor, and just got exposed to self-development and personal growth from friends who basically felt so sorry for me. Like, hey, here's a book. You should read this. Or, hey, try this book. Or have you ever heard about this concept? And I had nothing else to do. So I did self-development, and I came to this understanding about personal responsibility, that maybe it wasn't the evil, mean IRS who was the cause of the bane of my existence. Maybe it was just me self-sabotaging myself. And I realized I'm 30 years old. I've had a couple of bad, terrible business failures, had a bunch of health challenges, and I've had nothing but negative, dysfunctional relationships. And if I take that whole scenario and I look at all those different situations and I ask myself the question, was there one person who was always at the scene of the crime? That was the breakthrough for me, Maurice. I mean, the real biggest breakthrough of my life. That was the one where I said, because I didn't like the answer to that question, right? But that was the answer. I was the only one who was always at the scene of the crime.
Right. So here's my question then. Because there's some of us that don't want to accept the responsibility of that. Some of us don't even want to be accountable to ourselves because we want to blame it on everybody else. It's is someone else's fault why I have not done this or that. I mean, even in your story where you talked about, you didn't go to college, right? And so with that, and you even declined an honorary degree. But I'm bringing up this point because a lot of times we programmed to think that, hey, you know what, these degrees are going to equal something, right? But if I don't go, now it's someone else is holding me back. I didn't get accepted into this program. I didn't do X, Y, and Z or whatever. And so, like I stated to you earlier, you disrupted that idea. How do I understand and stay in that space of being disruptive? Because a lot of times we make apologies of not playing the game or not being like someone else. How do I stay in that space and be true to me in those moments?
I think the real issue in the scenario you're describing is this concept that I call victimhood.
Yes.
We fall into victimhood. And what I discovered at 30, after all of those calamities and tragedies and trauma and drama, was you can be a victim or you can be a victor, but you can't be both. You have to pick one. And what it took me 30 years to understand is that I had chosen to be a victor because of the emotional payoff that gave me. Because when you're a victor, you're always right, you're never wrong, and nothing is ever your fault. So every divorce, every broken relationship, it's their fault because you were perfect and they're flawed. Every health challenge, that's just you, an innocent victim, the universe, God, destiny, whatever, conspiring against you. You're just a little guy fighting the forces of evil. If you're a victim, it's the electric company that turns off your power because you don't pay the bill. They're the bad guys. The landlord who gives you the 2-day eviction notice because you don't pay the rent. Obviously, he's an evil, mean, greedy SOB. Mm-hmm. He's a bad guy. He's the villain. You're never the villain when you're the victim. And in my case, I mean, we could get into a whole 87-hour podcast about this, but if we narrowed it down to the ultimate level, in my case, I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but for me, I was unable to accept love. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a nuclear family where we didn't hug, we didn't kiss, we didn't say, I love you. That stuff just didn't happen in my family. When I would see my grandfather maybe twice a year, he would shake my hand. Hello, Randy, good to see you. He didn't leave his bedroom without a tie on, right? His kids never saw him without a tie, right? This is how straight-laced he was. And I very seldom saw him because he had divorced my grandmother and it was very acrimonious. And my mother was divorced. My aunt got divorced. The other aunt got divorced. Everybody in my family is a divorce thing. Our motto is we put the fun back in dysfunctional, right? So I grew up with all of this emotional baggage, but to me, it's normal. When you grow up that way, you just figure this is the way everybody grows up. So I go out in the world and I couldn't accept love because I hated myself. So I certainly wasn't going to let anyone else love me. But I desperately wanted love because all humans, all right. Puppies, all kittens, all llamas, all right. Donkeys, all dolphins, we all want love.
Right.
We just want somebody to love us, right?
Right.
So I learned subconsciously, well, I can't get love, but I could get sympathy. If I'm always on the victimhood thing, people show me sympathy, and that's the closest thing to love that I can accept. Now, I didn't know that then. It took me 6 years of therapy to figure that out, right, with the help of a qualified mental health professional. But that's, in essence, that's what it was. So I became what we have a lot of in the world today, which is a professional victim. And I surrounded myself with professional victim friends. And wherever I was the local meeting of the victims of name of city, club, chapter. Right. And I was the president. And, when you're a professional victim like that, you get together with all your other victimhood friends and we all, oh man, you got your power cut off and you had to melted the ice cream. Well, my SOB landlord put a 3-day notice on my door and I had to move out and I'm sleeping on the sofa. And then somebody comes along and they've got a brain tumor and you're like, oh, damn. Right. He's got a better tragedy than I do.
Right.
I need to find a way to manifest something worse than a brain tumor so that the next time we have this chapter meeting, I have the best tragedy here.
Right. Right.
And this becomes a self-fulfilling cycle of misery.
Like you said, we could talk about this for like 80, not 87 hours, 87 days, 87 years. But because and I can relate to a degree because as I was growing up, the loudest voice in my family was my grandmother. My grandmother, even though she spoke a lot, she had a lot to say. There's 3 words she never said to any of us, which is "I love you." We did not get that at all. My mom and her siblings, my brother, and all my cousins, none of us coming down the line, we never heard "I love you" out of her mouth. And she's still alive today, but at this particular time, she's dealing with dementia. She doesn't know who we are, right? And so I listened to some other family members who are wishing that words will have come out of her mouth at some point in time. And so now we're missing the mark. We're holding on as you're being a victim in that moment. Like, hey, we keep seeing this image, but we can't rectify it. So how do we move past something like that? We see the opportunity, but we missed it at some point in time, and now we keep seeing the residual of that as we go to visit her or whatever it might be, because she was the one, like I told you in the green room, she was one of the ones that told me this will never work. That's why we got this podcast today, And so, how do we move forward in that? And as you're explain that how it goes into your book and where people can find your information in your book.
All right. So that's a lot to dig into.
I'm about to say, I know there's a lot to unpack.
Really, Maurice, I'm so sorry you had to go through that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I could share. I went through enough therapy to get to the point I liked myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to the point that I could love myself. And then it got me to the point where I could allow other people to love me.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me to the point where I could call my mother, and at the end of the call, I said, "I love you." And she said something like, "Okay, thank you, goodbye."
Right.
And I called my grandmother, and at the end of the call, I said, "I love you." And my grandfather and what I found with my mother after, 5-6 times, she said, "I love you too." And my grandmother, after a certain number of times, said, "I love you too." And my grandfather, it took 100 times. But finally, there was one call when I said at the end, "I love you." And he said, "I love you too, Randy." And he hung up really quick. He spit it out really hard. I had never said those words like that, I'm sure, in his life. And I can tell you, when he died, I was in his hospital room, and the last words he heard from me were, "I love you." Before my grandmother died, and she had the same issues with dementia as your grandmother did, but she would fade in and out. So sometimes I was there and she was there and we were connecting, and then she wasn't.
Right.
But the last words she ever heard from me were, "I love you." My great aunt Nettie, who died at 89 or something, last words she heard from me were, "I love you," in the hospice. I called my mother 2 days ago. Last words she heard from me were, "I love you." So whenever one of us dies, we don't know when, who, how.
Right.
But the last words she will have heard from me will be, "I love you," because I say that at the end of every conversation with her. And you guys can say that to your grandmother, even though she has dementia.
Right.
It's not whether she even hears it. It's you expressing it will be a great thing for you guys. And even with dementia, stuff gets through that we have no idea that it gets through, right? So let's not view that as, okay, we lost the opportunity, it's over. Let's view it as, hey, we still have a limited opportunity in front of us to spend time with Grandma and let her know she is loved and express our love to her. And that will pay off in innumerable ways, I really do believe. And the book is called Wealth Without Apology. Don't let the title fool you. And by the way, it's not a money book. It's not like how to, don't buy Starbucks coffee, brew your coffee at home for 12 cents and take it to work. I don't even talk about that nonsense. I'm talking about the philosophy of living a prosperous life and doing it without feeling guilty about it. And the title came, that wasn't even the original title. The title wrote itself as I was getting into writing the chapters, and I was talking about the brainwashing and programming we get, the guilt we sometimes feel, the rackets society runs on us for being wealthy, for being healthy, for being happy. And the title kind of said, you know what? I'm going to call this Wealth Without Apology. And then the subtitle is A Prosperity Manifesto. And that's what it is in its essence. It's a prosperity manifesto on how you create an abundant life. And I believe there's 4 quadrants of prosperity. Resources, which is where money and material things would come in. It's just one of the 4 quadrants. There's actually 4 quadrants. And that book is about how we manifest a prosperous life in all those areas.
Randy, first, I want to say thank you very much for listening to my story but breaking down the limiting beliefs that we have in those moments. Because sometimes we feel as though we can't get past something. You know, we see what's in front of us. We feel like it's a roadblock, that there's not an opportunity in every situation, no matter the situation. So I thank you very much for just breaking that down for me. Thank you very much, Randy.
Well, thanks for bringing me in, and great to be on with you.
Thank you. But Randy, I got to ask you the question before we go. Man. So would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
I would rather choose a fork in the road, because then I would go straight forward in between the 2 forks into the undiscovered territory. Because the fork in the road that's the way everybody goes. They go left or they go right, but there's something in the middle that nobody's seen. And the 3 doors, somebody's closed those doors trying to keep something from me, hide something from me. I don't know what, but I don't know why those doors are there. But I like the idea of just going into the jungle or the forest and seeing what's there.
So in the very beginning of the show, Randy, I said you was a disruptor, right? But I appreciate that, because it shows that there is another way to get to our desired outcome. It doesn't have to be set up in these parameters or these boundaries. So I thank you very much for, again, thinking outside the box. I thank you for taking it serious for me. I appreciate it. But of course, everyone, thank you very much for listening to That Will Nevr Work podcast. Of course, Randy's information will be in the show notes. So, of course, before I let you go, I got to leave you with a little challenge. So this week, I want you to identify one specific area of your business or financial life where you have been consistently underperforming relative to your actual capacity, your pricing, your self-promotion, your willingness to invest in yourself, your relationship with risk, and ask yourself with complete honesty, what would I have to believe about money, worthiness, or success to keep producing this result? Write down the belief, then ask, where did I learn this? Who installed it? And is it actually true? That question is the beginning of your rewrite. And I thank you very much for listening today, and I'll talk to you just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected, and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?